This is my life now. Hey guys, welcome back to Black Magic Craft. I really hope you watching this today are safe and healthy and not stressing out too much. The world is a very different place right now, and it's gonna be a very different place in a week's time when you see this versus when I'm recording this, and hopefully it's not a whole lot worse. I'm in a tricky position just like millions of people around the world are, and I want to talk briefly about my current position as it relates to this video and hopefully can help you. But I want to make it very clear that I think I'm in a very fortunate position right now, and despite the challenges I'm facing and the stresses, I'm really quite lucky. But I just want you guys to know where I'm at in my household and how it affects this channel, because, you know, that affects your viewing. Schools and daycares in my province are currently closed. It's only supposed to be for 3 weeks, but everybody knows it's going to be the remainder of the school year. And in fact, because where I am is pretty ahead of the curve in terms of this crisis, we were able to get a week's warning about this. We were told that schools and daycares were going to close. We had 1 more week of school for people to get ready, because we had that luxury, because we're a little bit behind in, you know, the spread of this thing. I didn't take that week. I was super adamant that we pull our kid out of school immediately because I'm at home and because I can. Not everybody could do that. A lot of people need that extra time to find alternative childcare and sources while they're struggling with figuring out how they're going to work from home and all these other things. I was able to take my kid out. So now I'm on 2 full weeks have passed of being at home alone with my kid 24/7. It was really important for me to do that, because I know a lot of people aren't being responsible with physical distancing and social distancing and all that. So I want to do anything I can to mitigate another person that maybe isn't doing something. So pulled her out a week early. I'm in a unique position where working from home, isolating. I work from home already, I isolate. I go a week's time without leaving my house normally, with the exception of driving my kid to and from preschool or school. So this is really not a big deal. But not having an empty house to work in and having a kid that's home all day, a 5-year-old who I need to care for and educate and all these other things, has made it very difficult to film and to work, which every parent trying to work at home right now with kids knows what I'm talking about. My wife is a frontline worker and she works shift work, so it's mostly just been me. We've had very little time together. Most of the time when my wife is home is when, you know, me and my kid are sleeping. It's been really challenging and it's been very stressful because my wife is immunocompromised. She has Crohn's disease and she is on immunosuppressive drugs, and she works on the front lines in a very dangerous setting in this sort of crisis. So there's just been a lot weighing on me, trying to focus on the kid, and that's how we've come to this. And originally I thought I was gonna have to tell you guys that the channel is gonna drastically change and I may not be able to make any more videos for a while, or they'll have to be really simple because I might only have a couple hours a week to do it. However, some good news, because my wife is at such a high risk, her doctor has actually said, you got to get out of there. You can't be at work. So my wife is not going to be returning to work for a while, which, I mean, I don't want to say that's good, but it does make the home situation easier, and it will allow me to continue working. I will have to make some adjustments having everybody in the house when they're normally not. But for you guys, I will be able to keep making videos. They'll just be maybe slightly different over the coming weeks. With that out of the way, I wanted to share with you guys how I've been coping with continuing to keep my child engaged, entertained, educated, and just feeling loved through this difficult situation. And I'm just doing what I know. I'm turning to crafts and I'm turning to hobbies. We've spent the majority of the last 2 weeks playing board games, watching educational stuff on Scholastics, doing her schoolwork that her wonderful kindergarten teacher has sent for us, and just being really creative. Basically, I've turned my workshop into a kindergarten class, and we've just been doing all sorts of fun projects together. I have materials on hand to do this. It's a great way to spend time and help her be creative, and for me to still kind of stay connected to what I do for a hobby. Think about the things you normally make for your hobby needs, your game. Instead of making a nice like detailed house for D&D or Warhammer or whatever, whip up a really quick styrofoam foam core house. Don't measure, just glue it together, get it done, and give it to your kid to decorate. And you know, it's really, really fun. For me, it lets my kid feel like she's allowed to do kind of some of the stuff that she's maybe normally not allowed to do in daddy's room, and she's been really loving it. Yeah, we did this little house together. She drew a clown in the basement to scare mommy because mommy is scared of clowns, and I thought that was pretty cute. Her music teacher, you know, encouraged us to try making a homemade guitar. So that's what I did. I used some foam core, some cardboard, and some elastics to make a little guitar, although it's really more like a ukulele, and it sounds awful, and you know, it was just a really fun exercise to do together. And I gave it to her, and she painted it, and she decorated it, and she's been running around the house playing with it, and she absolutely loved it. My favorite thing, though, that we've been doing, aside from coloring, which I also really like, is I've been making her these little, I guess, little playhouses for her Hatchimals or little toy figures, just using foam core and making little rooms. I made a little bathroom with a toilet, a sink, and a bathtub, little door that opens up, a little bed, and I just give it to her and let her paint them. We made another one the other day that's like a dining room with a table and a kitchen with counters, and she's really been enjoying this. And the nice thing is it gives us some time to work on something together, something to pass the time, and more importantly, for a parent's sanity during this time, after we've built it, it keeps her busy for X amount of time while she paints independently and I can maybe do something else. My kid's only 5.5, so her attention span is very short. I can't just set her up and let her do something while I work on something else for an hour or two. It doesn't work that way. I gotta be pretty involved. She gets bored pretty easily and always wants daddy's attention. And you know, I think right now it's important to give her that. But this way she can be independent and active and doing something by herself while I get, you know, a little break. And then after that, we can use it to play together, you know, just play make-believe or play a little fantasy game. We've also been playing a little bit of Kids Dungeons and Dragons once a day where I let her set up a little scenario or I set up a scenario and we just play through it, and I keep it really simple and I ask her, what do you want to do? And she says, I want to attack the monster with my magic wand. And we'll just do simple dice checks, you know, okay, you have to roll this one dice and get a number higher than this, and she rolls it, and that's our math class right now. And I am doing a little bit of research on different systems for kids to play RPGs, for parents to use, because I think that role-playing games are really an excellent thing in this situation because they keep kids engaged and occupied, they teach them math, they teach them critical thinking, and they are appropriate from all ages, from 5 years old to 100. Like, you can play these sorts of games and enjoy them. And there's a variety of systems out there for kids, but I'm polling the viewers on my Facebook and the community, and I got to dig into some of these systems, and hopefully in the future I'll do a little video with some links to some resources that I think are good for, you know, families to use to pick up playing RPGs with kids of a variety of ages. You know, these are just a few of the craft activities that we've done, and there's so many different things you could do. You could build a full dollhouse, you could make your kid, you know, a costume, a robot costume, a night costume out of cardboard or something, go for a walk outside, go in the yard, fight monsters. Really anything to keep yourselves busy, keep your mind off things, and just have fun together, be creative. You know, these are really challenging times, but we got to make the best of them. This is a really good time to teach kids alternative skills. I know a lot of parents are stressing about continuing their kids' education, especially the older kids. Don't worry about it too much. There's a lot of ways kids can learn. And right now, we have a fantastic opportunity, despite the crisis, to teach our children lessons we may not normally have time to teach them. The importance of a variety of things, life skills. Teach your kids to do laundry, teach them to bake bread. If you know how to bake bread. I don't know how to make bread. I've always wanted to know how to make bread, and I've always been intimidated by it. And you know what? Yesterday, me and my 5-year-old, we baked bread for the first time ever, and it was wonderful. And I would never probably have gotten the motivation to do that under normal circumstances. So now is a really important time to try and utilize this time together to do some of those things you normally can't do, and don't beat yourself up too much about proper education. Don't be too sad for the kids being away from school and family and friends. They'll bounce back. Kids are really resilient. That's our burden to bear, not theirs. And you know what? They're gonna remember how we spent this time together. They're not really gonna remember not being in school for a couple months. I mean, they might, but I think for a lot of them who are in a position where they have caregivers who can make this time special, it's not the case for all of them, unfortunately, but for the ones that do, should hopefully remember this time when they're older as that wonderful, magical time in their life, that spring when they didn't have to go to school and they got to stay home and make castles with their family and play silly games and get to work in daddy's office and that sort of thing. So try to remember the positive, stay home as much as you can, take physical distancing very seriously. The better we are at physical and social distancing right now, the sooner we'll be able to stop doing it. And I really wish that we didn't have to go through this, just like I'm sure you wish the same. But as a very wise wizard once said, so do all people who live to see such times, but it's not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what we do with the time which we are given. And I know I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I'm making the best decisions right now as to what to do with the time that we've been given. So I love you all. I, again, hope you're staying safe, be responsible, and I will see you again next week. Cheers, guys.
I do after I'm done, I like to look when I take my papers away and I put it like that, and then I look so I don't mess up. Now I'm going to